Good morning and welcome to another day of motorcycling fun. Ha ha ha. So this is the tank that was on my BSA A65 Spitfire, originally on there. I assumed it was a original tank as it is fiberglass, but on closer inspection I find it is an aftermarket tank, which is not a problem. I don't know where they're manufactured. Burton's Bike Bits made them, or had them made, but they're no longer in production because of the problem with fiberglass tanks and ethanol. So this one is now unserviceable because it's falling to bits on the inside. In fact, when you shake it, if you can hear that, all the inside is decaying, presumably due to ethanol fuel. And I've noticed a huge crack just here. I don't know if that affects the integrity of the tank, but anyway, it's now gone. So this is the issue I've got with the tanks. This is the old fiberglass tank which was on the bike when I bought it, which has suffered the ethanol problem, and this is a metal tank that I've acquired. Actually struggling to find one anywhere. You can get them from India, but they can be suspect. So the problem I've got here is when you line these holes up, so that's the main hole there that goes onto the bike, and that one, it means that these fixing points here are quite far forward from this one, and also the taps are forward, and that gives me an issue with these not clearing the fins on the bike. So I do have a bit of fettling to do, and we'll see how we get on with this tank. I mean, test fitting it has sort of worked okay. I mean, they may both be wrong because they're both aftermarket tanks, and so I'm gonna have to go through this process of making up some brackets or finding a way of getting this tank to fit. So wish me luck. So this is the replacement tank I have acquired, and I've been trying to test fit it. Clearly it's not an original design because it's got the fillet on the right hand side, which is actually not a problem, because when you lean these bikes over on the left hand side, because they only have a side stand on them, that's just one off a Lightning I've put on just to stand it on the stand here, they weep out of the left hand side, or they can leak or weep out of the left hand side of the tank. So that's quite a positive benefit. But the big problem I've got with this tank, well, two problems, is number one, when it's fully down in the normal position, the fuel taps foul on the cylinder head, and secondly, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a Tbracket which I'll show you later on here. It doesn't line up with the holes, unfortunately, just there. So this is the bracket, and they're supposed to drop in, and it's about an inch or so short. So I'm going to make some little brackets just to bridge that gap and hold the tank on. And then at the back, I've had to pack it up, and I'll show that a bit later, so that this tank's a little bit higher at the back. So I've raised the tank up just slightly so that the fuel taps and pipes clear the cylinder head. Annoying, but I don't really have much option at the moment, because the only tanks that seem to be available are the ones from India, which have mixed reputation. I'm imagining or guessing that this one is one of those tanks, an Indian built one. It has been pressure tested and leak tested, so at least I know that's good. And to be honest, it's not a bad tank. The finish on it isn't that bad. It just doesn't fit exactly as it should. But then, does anything on the BSA of this era? Oh my goodness, talk about over engineering. I mean, side panels with these clips on, and yet, you know, Honda 404 just pushes on with some clips. This tank mounts underneath and has this elaborate system down through the centre. Honda 404, you just put the tank on and put a rubber band around the back. It's no wonder they went out of business. Anyway, having said that, it is still a good fun nostalgia bike. This is an aftermarket seat which I've got from the same company that's built the tank. Again, I didn't know that until I took it off, and we will see how it all goes back together. So I've cut a couple of flat pieces of steel, and these holes go through the T-piece. I'll show you how it's all set up once I've measured it, but I just want to test fit it. And I'm not convinced the two mounting studs here on the other tank are the right distance apart for the bracket. These allow me some adjustment because I'm going to actually bolt them onto the T-bar first before I weld them. I can move them slightly, mark where the holes need to be for the extension pieces, so that'll go like that. The T-bar runs across on the other one, and then I can bolt it all up, make sure it's all in position, and then weld it in place and tidy it up. So just put a pilot hole through with this little one, and then I'll go to the bigger drill for the right size. I've drilled 2 holes either side of my centre point using a bigger drill, and I shall now just go and file this into a nice oval shape, and that'll give me some adjustment for the tank, so I can move it forwards or backwards as required to get a perfect fit. So yeah, I've got a little round file which I can just take out the burrs on here once I've done that flat. So I've got my piece now. It needs a bit of tidying up, but I've got that nice slot in, so I'll go and do a test fit on the tank. This Tbracket arrangement is not original, and it looks like it's been an aftermarket part that somebody's made up. And again, depending on what tank they've used to get the dimensions, it's a little bit out, but with this extension piece now I'll be able to bolt this tank up this side if nothing else. I'll just go and do the other side if we can see that. So after quite a lot of faffing, I've managed to get it clear, so that's nicely clear on that side. The tank's got quite a nice fit to the seat. The underneath brackets fit perfectly. I just need to tidy them up and weld them, and I think we're all good to go. So this is the bracket that I've adapted from the original one. This bracket comes from the supplier. I don't think it's a BSA one. I think they're remanufactured by a company called Dragonfly, and I'll leave a link in the description for that. So I've added these extra pieces on and welded them on. Unfortunately, the camera, which I thought was running during that period, wasn't. So that's it all done. I mean, it's not the most elegant of pieces, but it will do the job. And the little tube they supply basically is just a piece of rubber hose which fits in there. I've put a slit in mine because it was a bit tight. Oops, it was a bit tight on the stud, but that's what you get. So I'm going to fit those and show you how the tank fits on. So this is where this bit fits on. Put that loosely on. I haven't got enough room for a spring washer actually, so I'm having to use a nylock nut. So that's that bit. So when it comes to the actual tank mounting, we've got the rubbers. This one is the front one. These are all available from this company Dragonfly. This is the rear one. Now, because of my tank fouling on the head, I've had to pack that up a little bit with some rubber, so that actually is nice. And so again, this piece, I've had to heat this up with a blow lamp and put a slight kink in it because it was too far back. It's just because of this aftermarket tank, you wouldn't normally, they're normally straight, and there is quite a lot of movement, but this is again been manufactured. I just put some little slots in the threaded rod, or threaded the rod up, and then made this spacer piece, the washer. The idea is that the rubber goes in there like that, it gets another couple of washers on the top, and as you tighten it down, it compresses the rubber, which expands into the tank hole, which is here. and that's the job done. The fuel taps, I've had to get these extra nuts here and sealing washers, which are an ordinary washer that has a rubber in it. There is a special name for it and I'll put it in the description on screen now. Can't remember what they're called, but I will do it. So that's going to be like that, and then you tighten that one up. Got all my new hoses ready to go, that needs cutting. So this is the tank that's going to go on, and I'll show you how that fits once it's on. All I'm doing here is just holding the central bolt in position. So these are nice and clear now, as you can see. That's nicely on at the back. So there we are, that's the tank all fitted on nicely. Let's compress the rubber up. Essentially that tank's on nice and tight and it fits and it's very good. So I've now installed the fuel filters and the very final piece, the tank bung, BSA. Doesn't that look wonderful? Quite pleased with that. So that's it for today. For all intents and purposes, that's all fitted on nicely, and the next stage we'll be taking it out for a test ride.